Her father pushed the envelope across the table like it was some kind of charity gesture. "We think it's best for everyone," he said with a tight smile. "You've had your fun, but our daughter deserves someone who can keep up." I didn't touch it. My wife blinked, confused. "Dad, what is this?" Her mother chimed in. "It's not personal, sweetie. We just think it's time you outgrew fairy tales." "Hi, my name is Ethan Shaw. I've been married to Lena for 3 years, and she's always believed I'm just a quiet guy who works a modest tech job, likes cheap coffee, and lives simple. She doesn't know that I'm the silent co-founder of the very company where her father serves as a director, and that every decision he's made for the last 5 years has passed through my hands first. This dinner, I requested it. This table, I chose it. This envelope, expect it." I opened it. Inside, a check, $500,000, to walk away from Lena. I looked up slowly. Her parents watched me, already planning her future like I was some forgettable footnote. I folded the check, slipped it back in the envelope, and slid it back unopened. Lena stared at me, then at her parents. "What the hell is this?" Her father didn't blink. "Security, sweetheart. This man, he's not your future. He's a phase." My wife looked like she'd been slapped. I remained quiet. I wanted to see their full colors. No filter, no restraint. And tonight, they showed them. "Take the check," her mother said, turning to me. "Start over. We'll even help you relocate." I let out a quiet breath, almost a laugh. "Do you think I married Lena for money?" I asked. Her father leaned forward. "I think people like you, who don't come from much, always find their way to women like my daughter." "People like me?" I smiled, then turned to Lena. "I didn't want to tell you like this," I said gently. "I never cared about impressing them. I only ever wanted you to love me for me." "What are you talking about?" she asked. I pulled a business card from my coat and slid it across the table. Her father's eyes twitched when he saw the logo. "Our company." I nodded once. "I've owned 49% of it since before you even made director." And just like that, the room went cold. The silence after I said it felt surgical. Lena looked at me like she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Her father, he went pale completely. "You're lying," he muttered. I raised an eyebrow. "Want me to recite the Articles of Incorporation, or maybe remind you who approved your recent bonus structure?" His lips parted, but nothing came out. My wife picked up the business card, turning it over in disbelief. "Wait, 49%? Her mom laughed nervously. "That's not possible. You're out." "Hey, what?" I asked gently. "A barista? A nobody? That's what you saw because that's what I let you see." I turned back to Lena. "I stayed silent because I wanted one part of my life not defined by leverage, by money, by people who think love comes with a receipt." Her father finally found his voice. "If this is true, then why come here at all?" I met his gaze. "Come level. Because I wanted to see who you were when you thought I was beneath you." He stood, fists clenched. "You humiliated us." "No," I said, rising from my seat. "You did that, all by yourselves." Then I looked at Lena. "Ready to go?" We left the restaurant in silence. Lena didn't speak until we were halfway home. "You were going to keep this from me forever?" I glanced at her. "No, but I wasn't going to tell you at dinner while your father tried to buy me off like a seasonal intern." She looked away. "I don't know what to feel." "Start with the truth," I said. "You married a man who builds quietly, who doesn't need to wear money to prove worth." She was quiet for a long time. Then softly, "You let me believe we were struggling." "We weren't," I said. "I just wanted a real relationship, not a performance." Later that night, her father called twice. I let both go to voicemail. Then came an email. One line. "We need to talk. This affects the board." There it was. He'd finally connected the dots. Because I didn't just co-own the company, I held the patent on the software that made their recent billion-dollar valuation possible. And unlike his inflated titles, my name was actually on the paperwork. They tried to erase me with a check. Now they were learning. Power doesn't always look loud until it speaks. The next board meeting was scheduled for Thursday. I didn't RSVP. Instead, I showed up early, not in a suit, but in the same gray sweater they'd always mocked when I picked Lena up from events. I wanted them to recognize me not as a stranger, but as the man they tried to dismiss. The moment I stepped into the glass conference room, silence hit like a pressure drop. Her father sat at the head of the table, already pale. Two directors whispered. One man from legal looked like he'd swallowed bad shrimp. I took the empty seat at the far end. They waited for me to speak. I didn't. Instead, I opened my leather folder and placed a single page in front of me, the original founder agreement, signed by me, co-signed by the original investors, the document that proved not only my 49% stake, but the veto rights clause her father had forgotten about. The meeting began. I let them go through the motions. Then, right as the vote began on a major acquisition, one her father had already promised shareholders, I calmly raised my hand. Vetoed. The room stopped. I leaned back. Shall we talk now? Her father's voice was tight. Ethan, this acquisition is strategic. We've already announced. You announced it, I corrected, without consulting a co-founder, without a board vote, and definitely not checking clause 17.3. The legal advisor shifted uncomfortably. He knew I was right. One of the directors leaned forward. This puts us in breach of investor disclosure laws. I didn't smile. I wasn't here for revenge. I was here to remind them that the man they tried to pay off was the same man who'd protected this company's core infrastructure when they didn't even know what two-factor authentication was. I'm not trying to sink the ship, I said. I'm trying to steer it. Her father clenched his fists. You're making this personal. No, I replied. You did. The moment you slid that envelope across the table and tried to trade your daughter's life for your illusion of control. Silence followed until one of the younger board members finally said, maybe it's time we stop treating Mr. Shaw like a threat and start recognizing him as a partner. I stood. Good, I said, because starting tomorrow, I'm not just your silent partner anymore. I'm stepping into the light. The press release went live Monday morning at 9 a.m. Ethan Shaw named co-CO of Linhart Global after strategic board restructuring. Within minutes, texts rolled in. Former colleagues, old college friends, even two of Lena's cousins who once joked I married up. The story hit differently now. I wasn't just the husband. I was the man steering the company they all thought I had no place in. I walked into headquarters without a badge. The receptionist stood when she saw me in the executive elevator. Her father was already there, alone. We didn't speak for 5 floors. Then he said, "You think you've won?" I looked straight ahead. This was never a game. He scoffed. You humiliated me. I turned to him calm. No, I said. You did that. The moment you confused quiet for weakness. The elevator opened. I stepped first. That day, I made 2 major changes. First, I rehired the junior developer team he laid off last quarter for budget optics. Second, I reassigned him to a non-voting advisory role, still paid, still present, but no longer in the room when real decisions happened. He didn't argue because he knew the man he dismissed at dinner was the same man who'd sign off on his parking spot. Lena met me on the rooftop that evening, the same one where we first talked about dreams bigger than rent and ramen. She leaned against the railing, looking out at the skyline. You really never planned to tell me this, she asked softly. I stood beside her. Not until I knew for sure you loved me for the man, not the name. She nodded slowly. And now? Now the name is mine, but the reason it means anything is still you. She reached into her coat, pulled out the envelope from that dinner, creased, still sealed. I never opened it, she said. Didn't need to. I took it, looked down at the offer her parents had written to erase me. Then I tore it in half. Not for drama, but because it never mattered. I'm sorry they saw you that way, she whispered. I looked at her. They only saw what I let them. She smiled. Still the quiet one. I shook my head. Not anymore. Behind us, the lights of our company glowed across the high-rise glass. No longer just his, no longer hidden. I didn't need to shout to arrive. I just waited until the silence was mine to break.